Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tuesday.
Thought you were going to forget.
I almost did forget. I was trying to remember the topic because I didn't ask you about it this morning, and I was trying to scramble and go back on the video in the replay and see if I could see the topic. So now I know. I'm on top of things.
That's good to know. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Tom. That's Bob, and this is today's Antidote.
I just feel like there's got to be something after that.
Okay. All right. That's a new addition. It's one of the things you just keep adding to the show. So it is our daily broadcast where we try to provide that one thing. I guess that's the one new thing for today, to help you move through your day that you might use today or you might use later on down the road, but that it would hopefully help you as you try to take those next steps along your own unique pathway to success. One of the things we love about the show is the comments we get, because we know as we're discussing a topic that you have other comments and thoughts about the topic as well. So please feel free to share them throughout the show, or if you're watching it on delay or later in the day, the recording, please feel free to share your comments. And at the end, we'll share our one thing. And we hope at the same time that you might consider sharing your one thing. We do know that what is real for us may not be exactly what's real for you today. And so what you can share can also help someone else as they continue along their own unique pathway. So, Bob, we're talking today and this week about opportunities. And I think as we talk about them, I think opportunities, as we discussed yesterday, are an interesting thing. I mean, there's a lot that goes into them as we were discussing what they were. And today we want to talk a little bit about discovering them, how we find them. What are the ways to go about doing it? And again, I think there's a myriad of ways. So why don't you kick us off with that conversation?
Sure. The first thing I would say is that opportunities don't often come at you. I think it's a lot more like mining for gold. You have to go through a whole bunch of stones, and then you find that little piece of gold that you've been looking for an hour, a week, a month, a year. And I think that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. I think there's a perception when we start a business or when we're a leader that everything's going to come at us. And I think there are a lot of opportunities that come by us, but we don't see them as that. We're too distracted by the day-to-day stuff, the routine stuff. You know, I find in my business, there are times when I'm doing the mechanical stuff, following up with contacts, doing the invoicing, doing the contracts. And sometimes those are going on at the time when there's an opportunity that slid by me. You know, someone said something to me. I read something. I observed something, but I was like, oh, I'm too busy doing invoices here to do this. Like, I remember one time I was doing an invoice and I sent the email to the person and it didn't go through. I got a notice right away back, and I was like, oh, well, it must be a problem at their end. I let go for 2 days. 2 days later, send it again, comes back undeliverable. So, of course, I call, and I find out that person has left. They've gone to a new job. Turns out the new job was an even better opportunity for me to do what I do. So it was a matter of, I now had to make a new contact because it's like, well, this person did these things. I did these things for this person. Could you please pay me? And I'd love to talk to you about doing more. And now the new thing. And it's funny to me because I was talking to someone about this situation a couple months ago, and they said, so you started talking to the person who replaced that person? I was like, of course. He's like, oh, I would never do that. And I was like, well, the company already knows me. I'm in their invoicing system, so that it's not like I'm unknown. It's just a matter of making that introduction. I saw that as an opportunity. I see whenever someone leaves a job, it's like, yeah, that's disappointing because I have a good relationship, but it also means They're going somewhere new. And that creates a new situation. And that's a simple shift of thought, because at first you tell me, oh, you're leaving. It's like, oh, really? I've worked for 3 years to get on your good side, be able to do some work with you. Now you're leaving. But if you build that the right way and create that relationship, it's an opportunity, not a drawback or worry.
Yeah, well, I think there's, that's an interesting perspective that I think I've thought about before, that you go somewhere else to expand your opportunity. Now, the challenge is with that, like anything else, is that the new person comes in with already their contacts and their connections. It's like, well, I see that you're using Bob. I was using Joe for forever, or Jane, and, I think that they might be exactly who I want to work with.
It does not always work.
Correct. Which is fine.
But
okay.
Still, it's an opportunity, and not every opportunity pans out.
Yes. And I think the other thing too is that we discover them sometimes, but how much do we follow through on them? How much do we, I bet if you looked back on the first quarter of the year, how many opportunities that didn't come to fruition that you have now moved on from? And I think that so often is a missed opportunity. It's interesting. I talk a lot about when I work with nonprofit organizations about how challenging it is to find new donors. And yet so often organizations are like, we've got to find new donors. When in reality, an average organization only maintains about 55% of the donors they had in the current year. So what are we doing to maintain those current donors, those current clients, those current customers, so that, yes, new opportunities are great. And what are the current opportunities within the customer base, the client base, the donor base that you already have, and not forget about them while you chase new opportunities? Because I think sometimes we forget that once we have somebody in, they've already experienced whatever it is we offer. And why wouldn't they then continue to experience it unless they had a bad experience or something else happened, or the service or whatever we provided was a one-time thing? Okay, we fixed that solution. Now they're good until, whenever. But it's like if you own a company that repairs furnaces, let's say, and you have a client base, you're like, okay, I fixed that. Well, I don't need to worry about that person. Well, likely that person knows other people who might need it. And some point down the road, it might be 3, 5 years, 7 years from now, have you taken care of them well enough in the interim so that they will come back again? And I think sometimes that's an opportunity that we don't, we discovered it once and we haven't followed through with it.
I met a woman, it's been probably 8-10 years ago, at a networking event, and she knew my neighborhood. She was a real estate agent. She knew my neighborhood. She's like, oh, I'll put you on my list, and anytime I sell anything in your area, you'll get a postcard. I was like, oh, that's great. It tells me a price. Beautiful. It's been 7 or 8 years. I get maybe 3-4 postcards a year from her. I haven't run into her. We haven't spoken. But every time I get that postcard, it's like, man, she really does know my neighborhood. When we get to that place, she's someone in the running to be the real estate agent. And she's only invested in me and provided me so far with the opportunity, right? And that's the other way to look at this, Tom. When we talk about discovering opportunities, we're also discovering the opportunity for the other person. I was working with someone yesterday, a new client in our Renegade Success Network, and we were trying to find the opportunities for him with what we do. Mm-hmm. I was like, so tell me what this Facebook group does. How does that work? And it's like, well, you could plug in this way. You could do this thing. You could do this thing. He was trying to discover what he had gotten himself into, not in a bad way, but like, hey, I'm trying to understand. And I think that's part of how we can improve what we do, is thinking about that discovery process going both ways. I bought a new piece of software this morning, and I'm trying to discover, I know, shocking. It's not a bot, but it does webinars and things. and it had some functionality that I really liked. And so I'm playing with it. I bought it based on it does a couple of things I'm looking for. But as I get into it, I'm trying to figure out how it fits with what I already do. And I think that's where we as salespeople, as business owners, as leaders, we need to help people understand that relationship. And it's customized to each person. If you're managing a group of 5 people, I've learned the hard way. You can't say the same thing to all 5 people. You've got to motivate them differently. And if you've been watching the college basketball this week or the last couple weeks, you see the coach, he'll yell at one guy and the other guy he'll hug. He makes a horrible play, he hugs him. I saw last night, gave him a big bear hug, and it's like, wow, that's an interesting coaching style. But he knows that's what motivates that player. That player needed that in that moment. And I think we need to think about that with our customers in terms of opportunities. They aren't getting up this morning going, boy, I'm dying to work with Bob. That is, they went to bed last night. Oh, if only Bob would call me tomorrow. That's never happened. It's probably never going to happen. More likely is there's a problem that they have, and we see the opportunity for them that they don't see already.
Sure. I think that so often, and there's the one thing of discovering the opportunities, and then there's the next of carrying it out and actually going through the steps to realize the possibilities from that opportunity. And, I think you're right, is that we always have an opportunity to influence someone, whether we take the chance to do it or not. And I think that, understanding what that looks like is different with a customer or a client or somebody on your team or in your organization. And so often I think we miss the opportunities, especially within a team organization. I'm always amazed when people who leaders who have a team don't know certain things about their team members. And, I think that is a missed opportunity to really better understand where I could have an impact on someone, and knowing like what are the things that drives them, so that I can leverage those to help them move forward. It's the coaching example. And I think I've shared this before. I had a teammate in high school who, for him to be prepared for the opportunity, he had to be all fired up. So being, yelled at or like yelling with the team was it. For me, I was more like, I'm trying to focus on what are my responsibilities. And I think the coaches knew that for me to get the most out of the opportunity I had, this was the way that they would get me prepared for the game. And so I think that's the way, we have to look at it, is that there are different, and it's the same. Just because you get a client that is interested, that's an opportunity. Yet you have to likely treat each one of them uniquely, because they are going to have different things that are going to trigger them to take advantage of the opportunity you provide.
And I think it's fair to say, Tom, to people that you and I struggle with this as well. We had something that we were trying to do in the last couple of weeks, and we were talking about, right before the program. It's like, yeah, neither of us is really fully committed to it yet. We had an opportunity, we have an opportunity, and we got sidetracked with a whole bunch of other things for whatever reason. And now we're saying we need to regroup and reignite that opportunity. And I think that's one of the things. So often when I'm working with people, the opportunities are right in front of them. They're looking like, oh, I got to figure out Facebook and I got to start doing video and all this. And it's like, when was the last time you sent an email to your customer base? Never. Do you have their email addresses? Yeah, I've got 400 email addresses. Let's craft an email and remind them that you exist.
Right.
And I have a client that we sent out an email. It's been probably 6 months, 8 months since they sent an email out. We sent an email out last week, and they sell products, and they sold 8 or 10 products over the weekend to their existing client base. And, it's a missed opportunity to not keep reminding people and showing them, hey, we're doing these new things. Because sometimes someone that bought from you 3 years ago suddenly has a new situation. They got that new job, and the same presentation I did for them at their last job for their employees, works at the new job, and because they know me and how I approach it, the sale is as simple as, hey, by the way, I've got some slots available in June to do a presentation if you'd like to take advantage of it. Oh, really? Oh, Bob, that'd be great. Same terms? Absolutely. Great. Give me your federal number and we're in.
Yeah, well, I think that's, the interesting thing about it, I find, is that there are opportunities all around. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't even see them because we don't understand it as an opportunity. Because our mindset or what's real for us at the moment isn't saying, how might I look at this differently and say, I could turn this into an opportunity. And the other challenge is there's so many that we are interested in that they're easy to discover. Yet, in both cases, does that necessarily mean that they are the opportunity that we need to try to take advantage of or to work with? And I think, so often we become closed to potential opportunities because our mind is not open to the possibilities of how this might not work. This is my ideal customer, and I'm only looking for those people. Well, what happens when somebody outside of that is like, hey, you know what? I'm interested, but I need a little twist. And we stop looking for those people. We are so laser focused, which is important. It's important to be laser focused on who your ideal client is. And I think not closing yourself off to other opportunities that might arise that might broaden not only what you do and who your potential client base is.
So if you're mining for that gold, if you're saying, I'm not going to take anything smaller than 5 carats, and meanwhile you're throwing 7 3-carat gold pieces, whole bunch of 1-carat pieces, you're missing the opportunity because those 1-carat pieces have a value. Those 3-carat pieces have a value. And yes, it would be great to get those 5-carat pieces.
Of course.
But they don't always come. I would love to be speaking in front of big groups making $15,000 per speaking gig. Those are hard to come by.
And there's more competition.
Exactly. And the standard is higher.
Right.
And frankly, I'm not there yet. So you build it. And I think that's one of the things I see with people sometimes. They want to be at that big stage before they're willing to do the intermediate stuff. Mine the 1/2 carats, the carats, the 2 carats. One day you'll get to the 5 carats. So Tom, let me add a comment from Tim here. As always, Tim's awake and working with us here. Taking care of clients means much more than just satisfying their needs at the moment. It means being aware of where they are at long after the initial sale happens. Ongoing client care involves interacting with them when you aren't trying to sell them your service or products. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. I couldn't have said it better, And how do you show people that you care? By, not telling them, Tom. So I do speaking. I really would love to speak to your company. And, I do this great presentation on soft skills and the power of soft skills. It would be great for your company, advancement design. So when can we book it? And Tom goes, I'm a company of one.
Right.
So what are you thinking, dude? Whereas I could customize and said, Tom, I really got some skills on some soft skills that I could help you with that would help you. What are some of the challenges you're facing? And that's when we start to find the opportunity, right? In asking the questions.
Sure. I don't think we're trying, in the first case, you were trying to tell me what the opportunity was rather than
from my eyes.
Right.
Hey,
right.
You have an opportunity to put money in my pocket, Tom. Help me.
Right, which is okay if I believe it's going to help me. I think it's just how do I discover that is the opportunity? And I think that's part of Tim's point is that the more we're in connection with our clients, the more that we are adding value to them, the more they want to be a part of it. And it allows them to see in a different light what the opportunity might be where they could take advantage of something that we offer and that it could add benefit to them. And if we are never in front of them, well, then we are not providing them the opportunity to discover oh, wow, I never knew that. I wasn't thinking about this as a challenge that I'm facing. And I think that's maybe the difference in those two approaches that you use, is that one is telling them that they have issues that they need solved. Okay. The other is they're discovering that there is an opportunity to correct something or to work on something or improve something that they didn't maybe even realize at the moment. And them discovering the opportunity has so much more, not value, but so much more influence over what they are going to choose to do.
Right. When I discover things for myself instead of you telling me, it opens up all kinds of possibilities, because it's not like Tom told me I was wrong about this thing. Shoot. It's like, oh, wow, Tom really helped me to figure this thing out. Now I have that new knowledge, perspective, experience that can color how I go forward. But when we tell people something, if you half the stuff you tell me, Tom, I bet I forget. And you rarely tell me anything. But I'm not, most people aren't wired to do this, do that. And especially if you're leading a team or managing people, telling them what to do isn't always the right answer. Much better to go, hey, so tell me why you did this thing on Tuesday. I'm just trying to understand how it came about. And they walk you through it. It's like, oh, okay, I see where you went astray. On step 3, you thought it was A, but we think as a company it's B.
Right. Otherwise, you're making a judgment on a decision that they made, which nobody really wants to be judged on a decision they made. I was out on the lacrosse field and having a conversation about a call, and somebody said, like, I thought.
I love the phrase, having a conversation about a call.
Well, it was among the officials. It wasn't.
Okay. Not with the
players or parents. Those aren't usually our discussions. But it's interesting the way when you approach someone and ask them, like, what did you see? Rather than, hey, I thought you were going to call this. And, when someone says, hey, I thought you were going to call this, now the person is like, oh, man, they're judging me on what I did or didn't do, rather than trying to explore what did I see? And I think those are the opportunities that we have to allow others to discover what was going on, rather than, telling them that they missed an opportunity.
Great. Well, Tom, it's that time, your favorite time, my favorite time, the one thing, and I've been putting the onus on you so much on doing the one thing first, so I'm going to go first today if it's okay with you.
Whatever you want to do, Bob.
Okay. So for me, the one thing is that you're constantly mining. You've got to constantly be mining. Opportunities are all around you, but you have to be looking for them. And you have to be looking at things with the lens of, that's interesting. If I add this to that, suddenly I have something new. Because I find all the opportunities I find are stacked blocks. It's rarely one thing comes at me. It's usually, wow, you're the third person to mention that to me in the last week. I didn't know that was an issue. Like, remember when the pandemic started and everyone was struggling to work at home?
Right.
I figured that out within 3 days, because everyone I talked to was like, oh my God, it's so hard with the kids and the this and the that, and I can't manage my people. And I did a workshop on it within 5 days. 3 months later, the Wall Street Journal runs a story about the challenges of working at home.
Sure.
It's like, wow, welcome to the party.
Right.
I was looking for opportunities, and I was also listening to what was being said to me, because every time I got on a call, it would be like, I'm sorry, Bob, hold on. I need to take care of my kids. Hey, Bob, can we reschedule the call because of this thing? My internet's not good enough. All those things. And instead of going, it's really pissing me off. Everyone's late. It's so hard to do my job. It's like, okay, wait a second. It's happened 3 times in the last day and a half. What is missing here? Where are people finding the knowledge, experience, and perspective gap that's making it hard for them to do what they want to do? Oh, wait. It's setting the boundaries around how to work at home. I know those things. I can teach them that. And that was literally the genesis of those workshops, which led to dealing with change workshops. And one thing fueled another. And I think that's what often happens. And I think what some of us will do at times is be like, oh, I'm good with what I got. I'll just keep doing the same thing forever. Whereas the next opportunity, sometimes that piece of gold is right there on the surface, just waiting for you to pick it up. And you're too busy using your little filter thing or your sieve or whatever you use. I don't know. What do you use to mine gold?
A pan.
A pan, thank you.
I don't know. That was probably 100 years ago. I don't know what they used today.
100, probably 1860s, 1870s. Yeah, wasn't that when they went to San Francisco?
Probably. Something like that.
I should have gone to
nice reference.
School. Yeah. Next time I'll fully work out the reference. So what's your one thing today, Tom?
So my one thing is, it's interesting. I think we go out looking for opportunities. What I might suggest is you go out looking for obstacles. From every obstacle, there is an opportunity. And I think that sometimes it's missed. We look at obstacles as things blocking us, getting in the way. What if we look at obstacles as, here, this is a challenge that someone has. It's a problem someone's trying to solve. Maybe the opportunity is I can come up with a way to help solve them. And I think that rather than searching for the opportunity, I would just offer, go out searching for the obstacles out there and then try to figure out what is the opportunity that presents. And then you have to do the other hard work of, is this something that's going to provide the return on investment that I want? So that would be my one thing, is just go looking for obstacles and opportunities will present themselves.
Okay. Wow. That one, I just posted it and said it's blown my mind. You've I've got some thinking to do over the course of the day.
There are lots of opportunities out there.
Indeed. So why don't you prepare people, Tom, for an opportunity you're about to show them?
All right. I hope I'm doing the right thing. Anyhow, if you have enjoyed,
I'm just keeping my mouth shut because I can learn over the course of a day.
All right. So if you have enjoyed this conversation, or if you have one other thing, please share how you discover opportunities and what your one thing would be that might help others move forward. If you're enjoying this conversation, please feel free to join us where we have these all the time in the Ring of Renegades. It's our Facebook group. It's a private group. So you just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and then you just have to ask to join. It is private, as I said. And so we want you to share why you're a renegade, why this is a group that you want to be a part of. And then you can become a part of this growing group of people who are trying to help one another take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. And here's the other piece of that, that it's hard sometimes to find the opportunity for the obstacle because the obstacles get so much in the way. The other side of it is once we know we have opportunities, sometimes it's hard to determine and understand whether they are opportunities that we should try to take advantage of or try to leverage or set aside. And if you're struggling with that, you may want to consider our Renegade Success Network, where we are helping people identify what are the opportunities from their obstacles and then figure out how to best leverage those that make the most sense to be a part of it. So we hope that we will see you inside of our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time for our next edition of today's Antidote. And if you would like to learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how it might help you find the opportunities from the obstacles you see, here's some further information about it. Have a great day, everyone. Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders. monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway